Go. Hi, good morning. Or, yeah. Oh. Hey, Layla, they're here too. Wait. Oh, there you go. Okay, okay. It's kind of hot here. I'll turn on the AC. Oh. Just. I have so much spam from the company I work at. Embarrassing. Embarrassing. Embarrassing.
I want to take a nap.
Huh? FNAF?
I want to take a nap.
FNAF? That's a Five Nights at Freddy's joke?
That's not what you call it for nap.
Oh, what I call FNAF?
What's he saying?
Should be. Yep, yep. Yuck, yuck. Huh, huh. Browser canvas. WebRTC roasted remuxes, not codes. Fragmented import. Okay, whatever that means. FMP4. because the night belongs to lovers. Because the night. Oh. Ow. 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 Oh, shoot. to tap me. I'll just have to get on the phone and go.
Okie dokie.
No problem. Right. I'm not the only ball. Oh, dude.
Please, no.
Hey guys, good morning, good evening.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey, Sandra.
Hey.
So is it Adam Day?
It's an Adam event. It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's right. Okie dokie. And let's see. Is it that we've started recording already? Yes.
Yeah, we will do. We will do. I mean, I can see Chuck is there. Chuck is Chuck is a solution architect for overall Adam proposal, and I am also expecting Debashish, who is another AI/ML architect who we have as part of that program implementation. So Debashish is also joining. So I believe we are good to start here from Adam team standpoint, but we'll probably wait for another couple of minutes.
Yeah. I know Joe's around, so I'll just.
Yeah, Joe will be here. Joe will be here. Yeah, Joe will be here.
Let me.
So any leave plan from this group for this week?
No.
Because this is month of August, few people take July month to take leave, few people plan out August.
I have a Wednesday second half week. 5th of August.
Half a day doesn't make any sense because you should have taken entire day. We all have family. We need to get something for them as well at some point of time.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, I pinged Joe real quick. Just said we're on. You know.
Yeah. Joe told me she'll be joining. So.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
All right. Fine.
Let's wait for 1 minute.
And one little thing too. I mean, this is like a I don't know what you call it, like project management thing. If we can start. I pinged. There's another channel. It's a permanent channel in Teams. Ideally, we can cut over to that channel instead of this channel.
Which channel you were referring to? The one that.
Yeah, it's called like TRIA implementation / core bridge implementation. It's just that, I mean, look, I'll stop talking as soon as Joe joins and we just get going. But like, basically, it's a permanent. We made a dedicated team, like a proper quote first class team and first class channels, and their behaviors in terms of when you make meetings in there seem to be much more like they facilitate. You get a proper SharePoint location. Every recording goes in there automatically. Remember the transcript permission issue you spent some time with me? That stuff just goes away. Like if you're in the channel, you just have access to all the meetings and all the recaps and all the transcripts. It's all like you don't have to do anything anymore. You, me, everyone. Like we have a nice home base of documentation.
Let's talk about that. If I go to core bridge implementation under TRIA implementation and schedule a meeting from there so that we can take it from there. Okay, I hear it.
Yeah.
I hear it. Okay, yeah. So because when I initiated this, that channel access was not with me, and probably you were saying the right thing.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ping again to Joe what's going on.
Right.
Hope everything is alright with her.
Yeah. Yeah, Well, it's unfortunate because like Teams makes it real easy to use those like meeting channels, but really, I think you really want to always use real channels. Anyway, you know what I mean. Anyway, like Teams gives you too many options, and some of them are bad options.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Good. I hear you, sir. I really hear you. Okay, and so Joe is busy in the meeting. I'm assuming that meeting is this. I I have pinged her, waiting for response.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, it's already 5 past noon at my place, so I think 5 minutes is a good time. Okay, that is a good time to start. So I will start recording. I will, and then I will start, hand it over to Chuck and the Bashish. I will set the context, and it would be a conversational discussion. So feel free to chime in. Let me first start the recording. Okay. So we are here, as you know, and to talk about Adam platform. Adam is AI deployment and monitoring. This is the rudimentary bed or skeleton, whatever you call it. It resides at the core bridge ecosystem, which currently emphasizes an AWS team. We are building it hand in hand. So one part of is implementation of AWS native infrastructure with AWS Bedrock and SageMaker. That is one part of it. There is a wrapper on top of it. Is a secure landing data zone. I'm sure. I mean, Chuck and Devashi will be talking about that in more detail. And then also because this is a one of a new kind of platform that they are building, which is which is going to be the platform for which entire enterprise ecosystem. Any AI use case which needs to be implemented, that use case has to be implemented on this Iron platform. So there are quite a few criticality in terms of strategic vision of this platform that has already been set up at the highest level. Um, and other than that, one last thing I will say before I hand it over. So there is also quite a few security controls that Corebridge has already identified around 127 security controls to safeguard this platform, the level of access, authentications, and the level of profile and hierarchy in terms of how that kind of a guardrail will be helping this platform to be sustainable in the all future works. So that's preliminary the thing. Why we are talking about Adam? Because this CML pilot implementation that we are doing for COVID, which is a 12 weeks kind of a pilot, and end of the day we are doing it and in emphasis ecosystem. But eventually, if this pilot it becomes successful, then eventually that has to be aligned with this Atom platform. So understanding overall Atom ecosystem is important. In our current SharePoint, there is already a folder available which has all the Atom documentation in terms of the requirements, whatever we did receive from Corebridge, and also whatever we have done as part of our solution proposal, which we own from our competitor by having AWS team with us. So that's the overall crux of the context and historical story and historical situations on it. With that note, I would hand it over to Chuck and Devashish to take it forward. And if you have any question, feel free chime in. I really want this to be a more conversational discussion, and so that we really need to get what exactly we are looking for from this discussion in terms of CML implementation. Over to you, Chuck and Devashish.
Thanks, Ramsey. Thanks for sharing the context. So I'm not sure, Seth, have you seen the proposal that we submitted, or are you coming in cold in this whole thing? Because I
Yeah.
know Santanu tried to create some context, but you need to understand the background of what went into it. So how much information do you have? Because I can pull up the proposal that we submitted jointly with or at least we're trying to work with AWS ProServe because at the end of the day we are leveraging their IP to kind of bootstrap the implementation with a lot of things that comes out of the box. So, have you gone through it, or is it something brand new to you?
No, it's brand new. Other than I guess we've seen like maybe a diagram or two that
Okay.
cuts across like 8 atom like features. Like it's going to help. It's like it's a runtime to run your agents so that everything is governed at a very high level, right? So is how I would say it, right? Like,
Okay. So what I'll do is I'll kind of quickly run through. I won't go in detail the proposal, but give you a context of how the whole genesis of this proposal, and then we started off the work with them because obviously you need to whatever you're trying to do with the CML pilot. So let me share my screen real quick.
And in the meantime, Chuck is coming out of it. So Chuck, Devash is there, all from emphasis standpoint. So that means this is not the first and last discussion we may or we can have on Adam. And definitely, if we need some help in future, we would invite Chuck and Devashish into this forum, so that we can have a discussion. Thank you.
So just to give the context, I mean, I don't want to go to the entire, there's a lot of slides here, but I'll kind of give you a high level thing. Basically, this whole thing started off with, the context is we started off with a project called Data Innovation Lab, which was essentially within an isolated environment, creating a lab environment for Corebridge. We delivered certain use cases or created the platform for the business to onboard use cases, and which was basically completed. And then this whole Adam initiative, which is DIL++, and they created a naming convention called Adam, which is AI Deployment and Monitoring Platform. So in terms of our understanding, just to give you the context, we initially submitted a proposal, then obviously Corebridge was also trying to work with AWS, and then they had a better out of the box or IP-led initiative, which is they don't share it with iOS service providers, but it's their IP, and typically the ProServe team gets engaged with the client. So they submitted something, and then obviously it went back and forth and said that, hey, customer, you need to work with customer. Corebridge mentioned that you need to work with Emphasis, who's our strategic partner on this overall initiative. But so that's how this whole thing came up, and then we carved out the story around how do we go together. So this proposal that I'm going to walk you through is essentially a joint proposal that we leveraged along with ProServe in the context. So I know Shantanu mentioned that Corebridge is looking for building this unified AWS native AI platform that supports all their AI, ML, GenAI, and agentic workloads. There are agentic workloads which they have identified to begin with on this initiative, or on this particular what do you call? There are two essential use cases that's a spin-off from what Accenture was trying to do. But eventually when this platform gets productionized, there are about 17 plus use cases we are talking about. But to give you the summary, we have to build this platform with strong governance, the business unit isolation, so the business units who are trying to leverage this platform can come in, and everything as a code approach, and being accelerated to the AWS Launchpad. So AWS Launchpad is ProServe's secret sauce. So they are bringing that particular thing, they bring it to the table. It brings automation about 60 to 70%. We have seen a little bit of it. Probably Devashish can talk in detail about what the Launchpad does, but essentially that's their secret sauce, and we are working with them, along with them, to ensure we can do this deployment. The second part is, as Shantanu mentioned, there's something called important thing called CRSO requirements. There were 146 plus or so, which is part of the environmental architecture guardrails, and Corebridge is very particular about having those guardrails in place across all the environments, from dev through production, and including controls around networking, logging, security, you name it. And they're also trying to work, and we are trying to work with a partner called Veronis, and they've already onboarded Veronis, which is a security AI posture and how it kind of ties together. So essentially, as I mentioned, there are about four components. Launchpad is one thing from overall IAC and terraforming kind of thing. Then you have the secure data zone that has to be built around this with what are the data components. The third being the CRSO requirements, which is more about aligning to their architectural guardrails. The fourth being the Varonis, which is integration of AI security posture with before the data even lands into the Adam and what happens and so on and so forth. So there are four components to this whole thing. Sorry, you had a question? Okay. So the third thing, as I said, ProServe is setting up the launchpad. Essentially, that's the control plane, and it has to go through its in the dev QA prod environments. And basically, out of the box, Launchpad provides these capabilities for the LLM gateways, guardrails, the agent framework they're talking about, overall observability, and so on and so forth. And what we've done was, while we stitch all this together, we're trying to connect the dots. So finally, we said that, hey, Emphasis and Corebridge will work on this as part of the broader ecosystem, along with AWS ProServe, to build this governed data plane, create that AML lifecycle that's required, and the overall rollouts that's required. And essentially, Varonis is going to be the key, and this is something that we are having some early conversations even with Varonis, and we have a workshop coming up tomorrow with them to talk about what are those possible use cases that we are working around Adam initiative itself across all the requirements. Any questions, say, before I move on? I know I spoke a lot, but this is the overall context of why we are here and what we're trying to do with Adam.
You know, I just real quick. I mean, so yeah, this is a very capable platform. You may have said it. Is it that Corebridge wanted Adam to when they build their own, you know, what's the like high level use case for what they want to deploy to it? Is it things they build, things they buy?
Yeah, so this is, as I said, the whole genesis is around, Corebridge was working with Accenture, and Accenture has something called Air, which is their version, which was initially on Azure, and they helped customer move, they kind of ported it on AWS. So, but it's like a service as a software kind of an approach for them. And what Corebridge decided, hey, I don't want to pay you as a service as a software, rather I want to bring it in-house, and because there are multiple use cases. And this is where this whole data innovation lab, which was precursor to Adam, which started in the isolated environment, just to get the feet wet in terms of whether they can really do it, because they don't want to have the dependency with Accenture, and they want to move away from that what you call service as a software approach that Accenture is trying to do, and move on to local within the Corebridge environment. And this is where emphasis was chipping in to see how we can build this platform. Of course, there are a lot of lessons learned in the DIL initiative. Now, they don't want to go down the hard path of going through hoops, multiple hoops. So this is when AWS came to, hey, we already have a launchpad, which brings out of the box 70% automation. So we are trying to learn along the way what Launchpad has to offer along with AWS, and then bring all these peripheral services that are required to be built. And this is a very comprehensive platform, because, as I said, there are about 17 to 20 potential use cases that business units can start onboarding when it comes to the AI/ML and the agentic workloads that they're talking about. Two of the agentic workloads that we're talking about is RS Chat, which is retirement services chat, and there's one more use case, agentic workflow. I think there's one more use case, or call agent, or agent call, something like that.
Agent assist.
Yeah, agent assist. So those are two use cases that essentially Accenture did in their environment. So we are going to use that as those use cases to be onboarded onto this platform. So the deliverable for us when we build out this platform is to ensure that we're able to enable those two use cases onto this platform. Once it's successful, that's when the floodgates will open for all the additional use cases that we're talking about, 17 to 20 use cases across business units. So across business units, they have priority in terms of what use cases they want to tackle. So this is more of a platform engineering approach that you're taking. It's a platform that you're trying to set up so that onboarding of use cases becomes a lot more streamlined from a day-to-day from a business lens perspective. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, you gave examples of chat assist, and basically at the end of the day, they have some model slash LLM workflow stuff that they want, either they bought or they built, and they want to deploy it, into a safe environment that gives them all the, guardrails and observability. Is what I'm trying to make sure this is probably what it is. I'm guessing Adam isn't really focused on developer workflows, like if developers are using Claude. I don't think that's one of the 20 use cases, but maybe it is. I mean, I haven't seen which one it
Yeah, I
is.
mean, they will use under the hood Claude or Titan, some of those.
No, I'm saying, if
yeah.
you're using Claude if you're a core client employee and you're using Claude yourself, I don't think your messages are
No,
routing
yeah,
through
you're
that.
right, Seth, you're right, Seth. I think this is more in a runtime environment when you have your workloads running, agents running, workloads running, data pipelines, whatever that is. I think that's all deployed here, and then that's what is run here, whether it's dev or non-prod or all of those environments.
Right.
It has all the content inside. That's what I see it as. It's a
Yeah.
platform where everything comes to. But yeah, if a developer is using Claude to build something on their local or VS Code with GitHub Copilot, which is what they use more there, yeah, that's all local. But if for SDLC, for example, because that's I'm working on their SDLC agentic AI SDLC side also. So what we are showing them is we can build all these agents that those doesn't have to be invoked by the developer or tester. They can be in an orchestration where, of course, if a developer has to be in the loop or they want to use them, they can still use them. They don't have to physically run on your local laptop or local virtual machine. They can run on the runners that is self-hosted somewhere else or hosted in the GitHub cloud. So those actually agents, if they actually prefer self-hosted than the GitHub hosted. So that hosting of all of these agents can also be in the Atom in the production or run. I'm thinking eventually because they all need the same exact guardrails and observability. You need them agent core.
Yeah.
The CI/CD pipeline is again GitHub Actions for that. So we have to figure out how those come in here later.
Right, I think Jyotsna, you brought up good point over here. So we are trying to build entire automation for agent assist and RS chatbot. RS chatbot is something which based out of RAG, retrieval augmented generation, and where we will be having the knowledge base. And based out of knowledge base, we'll be having the search, and search will brought up the result. So that's where our goal is. So two chatbot, one is agent assist, there are going to be multiple agent, which would be automation intern, like for building out microservices, and then there's going to be another chatbot, which is RS chatbot.
Right. Okay. Okay. I mean, and it's obvious to me at some point you guys need to know what we think we're going to deploy to Atom, but not yet. We get there. But okay. Thanks.
Yeah, that's where I think we'll be working with this team, Cephas, for the CML.
Yeah.
Understanding Atom as it evolves. I think when is it starting, Chuck? Did you say it's starting
Well,
soon?
we initiated that. I think you're in sprint 1 right now. So Devashish is a lead on this project from the AI/ML perspective. Okay.
No. So do we have a final architecture solution for this with all the tech stack?
So I have been working on that for final architecture. So here's the thing. So if in the client perspective, something going on silo, so I need to wrap together and put into the end-to-end architecture diagram. That's where I'm working on.
Awesome. I think that's where I think that once we have that, we'll see as we are evolving on our architecture and then see how we can have as much alignment as possible. Excellent. Chuck, can you actually show me the date of this particular PPT? Because we also have one version of this PPT and it doesn't look exactly the same.
Yeah, I mean, it went to multiple incarnations, but I just had to pull something for this meeting from my local machine. But yeah, I think probably you might have seen more up to date. Probably that's okay. I mean, it's the message is still the same.
The one we have says June 2026.
Yeah, it's the same thing. June 21st, June 2nd. Yeah, it's probably figured, but not too much of changes. We've not lost the core message here, but probably few changes here. That's about it.
No worries. So we'll take the latest when you get it then.
Yeah. So I mean, so this, as I said, the scope of the deliverables is ProServe involved in this, which they're helping us establish the foundation, setting up this control plane that's required. Okay, and then obviously there's Okta integration and the overall centralized runtime engine that you're going to build with, and also with the GenAI gateways and guardrails, integrating those agent code capabilities as the Vishesh mentioned, like RAG and observability, and deliver the IAC templates and the CI/CD pipelines aligned with core bridge standards, which is kind of defining the architecture guardrails. In parallel, emphasis in core bridge will complete the work stream around the secure governed data AI landing zone with the overall ML lifecycle on the SageMaker. We're also looking at how this Atom will cut across all the platforms with obviously proper isolations and controls that are required in place. And then agent assist and RS chat being those two primary use cases, which will sit on top of this foundational control plane. And this foundational control plane, as I said, is encapsulated with the data secure zone plus Varonis for AI security posture, both inbound and outbound that's required. And then making sure we're able to have those enterprise capabilities operationalized at scale, because it's not just about these two use cases, but this platform that you're building as part of the engineering effort becomes the stepping stone for those onboarding of those future use cases that you're talking about, 17 to 20 use cases across business units. So the core solution highlights, essentially said this is a shared AI platform being used by across BUs, and it's being powered by AWS Launchpad with customization that will be done, because Launchpad comes something out of the box and we are customizing it to meet to the CRSO requirements. Out of the box, it allows a lot of 40 plus or so CRSO requirements already being taken care, but this will be configured to provide that multi-tenant control plane with a strong BU isolation, so that and then the cost accountability that we're going to plug in as part of the overall services. Secondly, the governance is built in by design, so every LLM interaction flows that happens across those use cases have the centralized gateways and guardrails, eliminating any shadow AI that can potentially happen, and essentially even the shadow AI. We're talking about the Varonis integration that becomes even more robust. So a lot of things can be done within Atom, but we're trying to create that security posture through Varonis, and that's something, it's a mandate from Corebridge. Thirdly, we are making sure it's a fully governed data with ML lifecycle, and only the approved data goes into this platform, so that when you run these models, or you rather have it validated models move to production with clear auditability and accountability. Finally, the solution is, as I said, it's tightly coupled or aligned with CRSO and the enterprise architecture standards across all the environments. And then making sure we are able to accelerate the delivery. We are trying to build this reusable blueprints and templates across TFs and IACs to ensure that we're enabling faster, consistent rollout of those AI use cases. So it's not just about those two use cases, but while we set this foundation, we are seeing the bigger picture of those 17 use cases that gets onboarded onto this platform. And finally, the platform will be designed for resilience, and this is where we're taking help from ProServe to ensure that Launchpad has all those guardrails in place, and supporting multiple regions with the DR and everything. So there's a DR requirement too that's also requirement as part of this, but not necessarily for those two use cases that you're trying to talk, but it will be towards the fag end of the project when we'll talk about how this Atom platform will be DR resilient and making sure it meets to this RTO and RPO requirements of CoreBridge.
Hey Chuck, the version I have talks about something called Atlas posture.
Atlas is Veronis Atlas is the product from Veronis, so that's the AI security posture that you're talking about.
Okay.
So yeah, we have an upcoming workshop with them tomorrow in New York office. So we identified some use cases for Atom, but yeah, the intent is to take it to the larger. That's a thing, but we're going to talk about what are those prime requirements at a high level for Atom in terms of how we're going to implement that. Okay, so again, this is a success criteria. What is more important for them? I don't want to bore you to death on this, but essentially there's an acceptance criteria, out of scope items that went into it. Okay, and these are the what are the possible risks that we're talking about, and also the schedule. We just keep me honest here, Devashish. Are we still targeting for 8 sprints? I know, or is there a change in that?
I think we have the same timeline, but there are some shift happening here and there, so that's why we need to adjust.
And a sprint is 2 weeks, 4 weeks. What's that?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
So the total timeline should not be changed. Only thing is our MVP is a 3-sprint thing, which is a 3-sprint MVP to make agent assist to get enabled on this platform. So that is something probably our immediate focus.
And so is it each milestone? Is that what M is? Is like 2 sprints? Is that the thinking? I'm just trying to make sure I understand what this.
Yeah, give or take. Yeah, it's about 2 sprints each.
Look, I'm not gonna hold you to it. I know, just trying to understand.
This is the proposal document. So
Yeah.
you see a different version of it, while the delivery team on the ground, Devashish is driving it from our end.
Yeah.
But he will have more details on it. But I'm just giving you a context of
rough timing,
how this
rough.
will be.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Okay. I'm a developer. I know every deadline is fake, right? Just kidding. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, key milestones. How we're going to do phased approach. So we thought of building this, and then how we're going to do that as part of the final rollout itself.
Okay.
And then this is a joint delivery organization, because obviously there are too many moving parts. Okay, I think
One
those
second,
structures.
Deb, can you just go back? So the version I'm seeing in I have a version, right? So it talks about 4 phases, and each phase being a month. So the M1, M2 there, you said it's 2 weeks sprints.
Mm-hmm.
Or did I misunderstand it? 8 sprints and 4 months?
Yeah, so Devashish, do you have an update on the sprints? I think.
Yeah, it's the same one. Yeah, that's
this is the proposal level, but
It is still 8 weeks for 4 months and total 8 sprints.
Sorry. It's
but
not
this
8
is only
weeks, it's
not
8
the
sprints.
DR part of it, because the DR part will come towards after this, but essentially getting those 2 use cases onboarded as part of the platform itself is a requirement.
Yeah, DR we are not covering as part of this 4 months implementation, just FYI. And so that is why with DR it was going to be, it was supposed to be around 5.5 months, but they wanted to wrap up the overall MVP by 4 weeks, so we kind of pushed DR out of the scene. But without DR, it is going to be 4 months.
Okay. So it's total 8 sprints, 4 months, 4 milestones, 4 months.
Yep. And that's
And the work is started now. That means we're already on month 1 now.
yes.
Then when does the month 1 end?
So in 4 sprints. Sorry, spring.
Like end of August?
And end of August, yes. Because they have a board commitment to achieve by second week of September. So we have to make it happen. Okay, I think Chuck is traveling today for the Veronese workshop where myself and Chuck we will go there in person. So I think Chuck is good dropping off and Devashi should be here to continue. Yeah, feel free to ask me questions that you have. And I have the launchpad perspective diagram. So if you want to take a look at, then I can share that as well. Vinod is trying to say something. Vinod, go ahead.
Yeah. Hey. Hi, Devashi. So, couple of questions there. From a data engineering or data ingestion perspective, and the agents that we build, you know, I know we're still getting started, but are there references that we can use to know how, what guardrails that apply to a agent that will be built? Is it, if we look into that, the AWS ProServe, will that give us enough details? Or is there more that we have to read to know, what guardrails would apply to an agent?
So on those, the guardrails and all such things, right? Still, we are not there yet. So we are still in process of provisioning the infrastructure which is needed for the platform. So Launchpad is something that is the Terraform module which are bringing out of the platform perspective. So that way we don't need to do the manual work. It's gonna be automated platform creation on the fly through CI/CD pipeline, and that's what we have been working on.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And
Then the way you are representing and the way you are mentioning about the data part, so there are two parts to it. If we are talking about what exactly the business data, that eventually has to come from the team who would be doing the usage implementation. That is number one. Number two, for as a wrapper on this entire platform, so there is a secure landing data zone having all this Snowflake connectivity and all. But from an infrastructure and platform standpoint, that would play the role in terms of data ingestion. Let's say.
okay. Yeah, I mean, for our use cases, I think it's mostly batch processing. So we have like a data dump that will be put somewhere. So
our use case, this CML use case will be a little different because it is happening into our ecosystem, not their ecosystem, right?
For our SOW work, we know we are going to be doing in emphasis environment, there is no Atom there. So what we will be doing is, as we understand Atom, hopefully more technology aspects were also elaborated little bit later. Then we will make sure our architecture, our solution is more aligned in our lab to that, so that when we migrate, it's faster migration.
okay.
So that's what we promised in our SOW, that we will do it in our environment, but more aligned with Atom, so there's minimal migration effort later.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious if the Adam team has any feedback on what I'm about to say, and it's me trying to sort through this problem too, which is to say, just pretend, I mean, nothing's happened yet, so this is all a story, but let's say this is what happens, right? So, say that on the core bridge CML work that, that we're starting, that we, of course, we can't block or wait on Adam, we just develop, we just go, and say that we have, really strong CI/CD best practices anyway in our own environment, where we have clear artifacts that are versioned, like models and data and whatever else that we create. We have this nice, clean, built solution, right? I mean, the things that we create have clear artifacts that we understand, and then over time, Adam is going to have an opinion or have more advice on, well, we can ingest these types of artifacts, right? And then we have to then, of course, come in the middle and figure out where the gaps are, and we figure them out. But, okay, so, I mean, to me that's sort of obvious. I think that's true, but if anyone disagrees, then let me know. But the other thing to say is, this may not be realistic, but I wish it were true, is that, okay, so Tria as a platform and whatever work we do for Core Bridge, our goal is to not be married to AWS or any particular any particular cloud provider, right? Like a Tria customer might be in any cloud or be on-prem, right? So we always, at some layer, at least internally, we always need to build, cloudless, we're not opinionated on a particular cloud, right? Not married to it. So I'm trying to, like, as a test, as like an architectural challenge test, ideally, this Tria work, I'm sorry, for CoreBridge, the CMO pilot, say, I'm not saying we do it, I'm saying it's best case if we're able to actually do the work, say, in GCP, right? Because the things that we produce aren't married to AWS. Now, we still might have to take whatever we build in GCP and still tack on some AWS stuff because, in the next 4 months, Adam still needs AWS artifacts, right? I just don't know. But you see what I'm saying? Like we have our own requirement, which is we can't be married to AWS. It's not necessarily your problem. I'm just, you know what I mean? Like we can still do that ourselves and still have our own AWS binding. But I'm just sharing that, right? That's like this in the mix.
No,
What you're saying is, Seb, our solution should be cloud agnostic or technology agnostic that we can deploy anywhere we want.
Right. I mean, and I just made it, we haven't really spoken about it, at large, but I know it's true that our customers, Tria customers, can be in any cloud, right? Like we can't be building AWS first, right? We're a platform kind of thing. So we have to be careful that we always build cloudless. But it's also true that people do live in clouds, and we might very well have to build cloud bindings for our Tria stuff too. That's true as well. You just have to have your layers, right? You always have to have your layers. But still, though, it's. I just don't know right now if I'm going to make a fatal mistake if we unblock development in Google GCP, like for the Tria team to start working, or if actually it's not a big deal because where Adam's going, it's not so married to AWS from the perspective of a team trying to give Adam artifacts to host, right? I just have no sense of that. There's a spectrum, and I just don't know where we all sit. I don't know if anyone does yet.
Another point I want to add is, I think as Eugenia was telling about building these models, right? And given what we heard from the CoreBridge team about their regulations, about running these agents in strict regulations. So, bringing a build model into the system, they might have a lot of checklists that we have to go through before importing it. Right? It's not something that we're building in within their environment. That way it becomes easy. We take their data there and build within their AWS Bedrock environment. You build their own model. In this case, I think we are trying to build something outside and bring it in. So that is something that we have to consider.
Yeah, that situation was there always, and we kind of knew that is the premises that we are starting with as our reference point. And Thiren, I'm just coming to, I just wanted to clarify a couple of things there. So, and also to Seth's point, yes, so from a Tria implementation standpoint, definitely we have our vested interest not to be married with any specific cloud providers architecture, but at the same time, because it is going to be, going to end-to-end for any customer, so whatever their choice of cloud platform, our architecture would be able to align or plug in for various cloud architecture, whatever they decide from AWS, GCP, Microsoft, it doesn't matter. So that level of adaptability or kind of a loose coupling of the architecture would be the key for any implementation.
Yeah.
And we do not know if at some point of time, the way the discussion is happening at Roga's level and with all the ELTA, the ELTA executive leadership team standpoint, if they fully embrace the Tria ecosystem, then probably it's a different world that we would live in, maybe from 2027 onwards. But we do not know. But as of today's date, whatever we would do, it has to be aligned to some extent, and please don't to some extent to be aligned with our Adam platform, which they will be looking forward to. Yeah, again, over to you. I think you were having something.
Yeah. So one thing was under Mukund's team, right? We were working on a solution called Atom, and by seeing Agent Core and Launchpad, like we were working on a lot around Agent Gateway, runtime, the security guardrails, etc. I think Seth, you were in that call, right? Atom discussion. I don't know others have seen that or not, but
Okay,
yeah.
I saw Atom's GTM slides 3 months back, I mean 2.5 months back, okay? I think whoever was part of the person, I think he's a, I forgot the name, he is also from Mukund's team.
Yeah.
I forgot the name, I will give you that.
Michael, yeah.
Michael,
Michael
not Michael, not
maybe.
Michael, somebody from Mukund's team based out of India, he was trying to do something. Atom was given something, but when we did a deep dive 2 months back, and we understood it is still a concept, and there was no full-fledged POC or implementation had happened. So that is why we could not represent Atom as part of our proposal, but we did know about Atom as a theory, as a GTM slides. Okay, and that is because our always focus is there is any in-house accelerator that we can propose as part of our proposal, because we could not do it, and then eventually we had to get into a situation that we had to hold hands with AWS folks, and they came up with AWS Launchpad as an accelerator where many things are coming out of the box. Okay?
Yeah, totally makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I
that
was
is the
just
situation that we were in 2 months back, and it did not work out. If it is working out right now, wonderful, excellent, but at least 2 months back the situation was different. That much.
Yeah, I was just like Seth said, right? Maybe we need to have in-house something, and that we're gonna align it with other cloud providers as well, right? So that's where I was just pointing that solution. And yeah, I mean now it's a full-fledged solution. If you want, we can do a demo anytime. Again, not for this one. If going forward we need to do this for others, or if we have to extend it at certain level, we can definitely do that.
Makes sense.
I guess. I'm sorry. I'm working through. This may be a dumb question, which is, Adam's being built in-house at Corebridge. You know, obviously, right? It's all there. It's all the code's there. The development's there, right? Then we're going to be building in-house here, emphasis behind our walls, if you will. Then in one very in like a technical purist world, that again, like Adam's able to say, like in an open format, like, you know, this is what you give us. It's not like some big secret. It's not code. It's just, you know, here's the files we support, or the packages we support to ingest. I don't know if it's going to be that clean. It's fine if not, but like that's still ultimately though, whatever the inputs are to Adam, as they become clear, well, that's just simply what we have to know on this side, and there's no other way around it, and so I just don't. And at the end of the day, it's just, we might be 2 weeks away, 4 weeks away. You know, I'd have no idea how long we'll know before we start knowing what those artifacts are. But I will say it the other way, which is, as we start to build this solution, we also start to understand what our artifacts are, and we have to give them to you. We can also push that way, right? Say, look, you need to have, you know, you need to have a way for us to take these and give these to you. How do we do it, right? So either way is fine. Whoever has an artifact format, we can push. But at the same time, by the way, okay, so I'm just saying it. It's just obvious, I guess, but I'm just trying to think, what do we do practically that's going to be helpful, and I don't really understand any time frame when this is going to happen, but it's not probably in the next month, right? It's just roughly, like, no one's going to have a very strong technical clear contract yet in the next month. I mean, probably, right? For instance.
And next month in terms of what?
Just, do we have a clear technical contract between what we have to give Adam or Adam says this is what we support ingesting. At the end of the day, it's like that's the core thing between teams for as tech, for technology's sake. The clearer we are on that, the better off we are in terms of moving independently.
I am sure in between Eugenio and Daniele, something must have been thought of. Okay, and I would probably lean on them to guide us on that perspective, on that front.
Yeah.
But it was kind of open understanding and informed decision that we took, that we would do it at our site, maybe more focusing on our in terms of our vested interest on TRIA platform implementation, and as one of use case, somehow it needs to be in the some place where we can confidently say, hey, this is something we have built. We know you guys are doing Adam, and we at least know, or we can think of some level of, configuration based, or maybe some small thing here and there in terms of model architecture, and that is how it would eventually plug into the Adam. So that's the way I kind of think it, but I would probably lean on the experts, basically Gino and Daniele. I'm sure they might have thought about it in some different shape and form.
I think that's what Seth is trying to get to, Santanu, is for the solution to fit into Adam, it's possible if we understand the Adam's contracts, like requirements for your model has to be like this, or agent has to follow this, or every piece of the solution that gets plugged inside the Adam, if those contracts into whatever, right, whatever that terminology you want to use, let's say contracts, if they are published, then we can use those contracts to build the solution here, so it actually can fit later, rather than, that's what
Devashish, in that perspective, when our AWS spokespeople like Nashad and Sharad, they will be working on it, right? I think we should be able to extract those information when that AWS launchpad will be fully up and running in our dev environment, and that could be maybe end of this month, right? Is that fair expectation?
Right. So the AWS Launchpad having its own, it's based out of AWS repository, but they would be providing a GitHub repository where we all be having access. And once we get that right, so we can share with you guys, so that way you can take a look and see.
Okay.
But Joe and Seth, to your point, I think that would probably take another 3 to 3.5 weeks, not before that.
Sure, and I guess at the end of the day, there's kind of like three types of, inputs and outputs. Like, sure, we can make containers, and whenever we can, obviously, I'm sure Adam can run containers, but the thing and then there's data. So somehow CoreBridge is going to upload or point to their existing data, and Adam's going to have it and feed it to models. That's like a totally different kind of, mechanism than like running a container. Right.
So let me separate out. So there are a couple of things going over here. So first is the Launchpad, which is provisioning the infrastructure, and Launchpad is set up such a way that you just have to provide the all the variables in one of the file and or multiple files, and from there you can launch any of the infrastructure out of AWS. So that's something that it's called the platform development, and the platform that we are building out. So now coming to the other areas, right? So where we will be building out the agents and the chatbot, they're gonna be a separate implementation that we will be taking care. So that code also we can share it out. I think it's may not be proprietary of the code bridge, and we can make it reusable, so that way you can use it as well.
Yeah, I guess what I'm thinking now is more like Are we handing containers? Are we handing like Helm charts? You know, like Kubernetes manifests. You know, whatever. I mean,
No, let me describe. So we are using the AWS container, right? So here we'll be utilizing the I think EKS or ECS, those stuffs that we would be utilizing for our purpose.
yeah. Okay. Well. Okay. Let me ask. This is another real quick aside. Oh, this doesn't make sense. Never mind. Never mind. I was. This doesn't make sense because I'll just say what it is, which is emphasis itself internally does not have like a this. As far as I know, I'm pretty sure we don't have this. We don't have an Atom equivalent of any form, and it's actually coming up in other conversations I'm having where we have a problem because we don't have it. Like we don't have an LLM gateway. We don't have governance. We don't have guardrails. We don't have any of that stuff, and we kind of need it. So I was thinking at the beginning of the call, I wonder if the Atom team could build Atom again for us, but maybe that's like kind of you can't say it that way because Atom's being built for it's like purchased by them by corporate.
Atom? So Steph, isn't that Atom that Mukunda's building? I have not seen Atom yet.
Oh God, are you saying Atom versus Adam?
Yeah, at ADAM is the core bridge.
Yeah.
All of this was presented, right?
Yes.
And then they also in the middle talked about Mukund and team doing something on AT, like T as in
Right.
Terraform,
Right.
ATOM,
Right.
atoms and molecules. So that is emphasis internal accelerator. I don't know the reason why that got brought up into this conversation and the context. I felt like that's an equivalent of Adam in some sense that we're building, which was not ready when we wanted to talk about that capability, and hence the Adam was formed for Core Bridge, and I think in parallel, our Atom, also is getting developed. I have no idea where it is or what, how it aligns or what features it has.
Okay.
Maybe that's another one we can actually take a look and see what is our Atom do.
A slight clarification, Joe. So Atom, for my understanding goes, Atom is an accelerator to create a native AI implementation platform. So Atom is actually equivalent in theory, obviously. Atom is equivalent to AWS Launchpad Accelerator. And the goal is to have an AWS native AI ML bed for any implementation. So because we could not show or we could not lean on our internal accelerator, that is why we had to join our hands to leverage AWS proprietary accelerator, which they call it AWS Launchpad, to create the platform like Atom. Atom is the platform, accelerator is AWS Launchpad, Atom is also an accelerator in.
Oh, so Atom is not completely the entire Atom. It's only a piece of it, which is the AWS Launchpad.
Exactly. And that is how the entire story, diverted towards AWS leverage and the overall AWS ecosystem, partnership ecosystem. That's how it happened. Exactly, that's how it happened in the month of May. Okay, and we are on top of our hours. I think this is a very good conversation and discussion that we have just had, and I think time to time, Debashish, I will take this to Chuck also when I will meet him in person in New York City. Time to time, I think we would pull you guys in here for any more brainstorming and more discussion, rather more clarity when we get to know how the launchpad is actually working on the dev environment. Right now, it is a black box to us. Whatever we know in theory, but those tangible technical details would be very helpful for our team on this team to figure it out, and if some course correction or some tweaking is needed the way we are thinking right now.
Sure.
Okay, anybody has any questions?
We can do too.
Perfect.
Yeah, other than the documentation that we already have, if there's additional documentation, then we'd like to have that.
Yep, I have for Launchpad perspective document, so I can share with you guys. So over the email, I'll share after this meeting.
Oh yeah, and the slides too, please, if we didn't already get those, that you showed. Maybe you did, but
The
yeah.
slides,
Yeah.
slides
Yeah.
we have,
Yeah,
set. I'll
so
share
far
it.
whatever has been shared as part of this forum, that is already in our SharePoint folder.
Oh gosh, okay,
Okay.
thank you, sorry, thank you.
In that Adam folder, there is a folder at the root level called Adam.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
and Debashis, whatever the documentation you want to share, okay, share with this forum, and I will also upload those documents into the SharePoint so that everybody is in the
Sure.
service. Okay, thank you. Take care.
Alright,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
thanks guys.
Good night and have a nice one, guys. Best part of the flow. Thank you.
See you guys. I'm okay. No, thank you. Appreciate it.